We all agree that President Trump's decision to end DACA is a despicable act of political cowardice. Cowardice squared because he gave the announcement to his attorney general instead of just making the statement himself. And now he says Congress should act. He had to overturn what President Obama did because it wasn't constitutional or legal. Constitutional or legal, thank you. But if Congress doesn't act, he will do that, constitutional and illegal as he may consider it to be. As I turn over to our special guest here, and I'm so pleased that so many members of the House and Senate are here, let me just say this. President Trump is the first president in 30 years, and let's just go back to Reagan. We can go back further. President Reagan not only acted, he acted after Congress acted. And he said Congress didn't go far enough. So he and then to become President George Herbert Walker Bush, did the family fairness agenda to do more than Congress did. President Clinton followed suit. President George W. Bush was a great immigration president, and we know that President Obama is a great leader, especially concerned about our dreamers. So this is the first president in modern times, in the lives of these dreamers, who has been anti-immigration, rejecting the idea that immigration is the lifeblood of our country, the constant reinvigoration of America, and that every newcomer who comes to America with hopes, dreams, aspirations, and optimism and courage makes America more American. In that spirit, I'm pleased to yield to the distinguished Democratic leader of the Senate, the Senator from New York, Chuck Schumer.
But let me say this. I want to cut to the chase. The president's decision to end DACA was heartless and it was brainless. If this order stands, hundreds of thousands of families will be ripped apart. Tens of thousands of American businesses will lose hardworking employees. We're talking about folks who were brought here as children through no fault of their own. They may have known no other country but ours and have voluntarily registered themselves with the government in order to live, work, and give back to our great country. They represent no threat to the country. In fact, in so many ways, the dreamers represent the best of our country. They want to get right by the law, by serving in the military, going to our schools, working at our companies, contributing to our society, paying their taxes. They risk and sometimes give their lives to protect others in this country, overseas as members of the armed forces, and here at home, like Alonzo Guillen, a DACA recipient who died just last week trying to save others from the unprecedented floodwaters in Texas. So make no mistake, dreamers contribute greatly to our country, to our businesses, to our economy. A recent study by the Center for American Progress found that 91% of DACA recipients are employed, paying taxes, paying into Social Security. The same study found that ending DACA would drain $433 billion from our national GDP over 10 years. And even the libertarian Cato Institute estimated that ending DACA would cost employers nearly $2 billion over 2 years. It's no wonder that 500 business leaders of America are up in arms over the president's decision. Now, I'm glad that some Republicans in Congress have voiced their opposition to the president's decision, because we're going to need them to right the ship. Congress has an ability and an obligation to act, which is why we today are calling on Speaker Ryan and Leader McConnell to immediately put the DREAM Act on the floor for a vote in the House and Senate. We're ready to pass it. I am confident that if put on the floor, it will garner overwhelming support from both sides of the aisle. But let us say this, and I think I speak for the leader as well. If a clean DREAM Act does not come to the floor in September, We're prepared to attach it to other items this fall until it passes.
We've got to stop playing politics with these kids. And the reality is that rescinding DACA is just simply wrong. We are talking about a population of 800,000 young people. We have 220,000 in California alone. And let's be clear about the dynamic in which we're discussing this. I've met with senior members of this administration who, when I asked, had to confess they had never met a dreamer. How can you form such strong opinions about people you've never met, people you don't know, and then allow this population of people to be vilified? It's not only wrong, it's irresponsible. So let's get on board with the facts before we start expressing opinions about this population of people we have called dreamers. They are serving in our military. They are working in Fortune 100 companies. They are college students. They are law students. They are scientists. Let's be clear, 40% of the industry in terms of even tech in California was created by immigrants. Let's stop vilifying this population. And let's get to work also understanding that this is about not only what is morally right, it also is about what is economically right. To rescind DACA means to lose as many as 700,000 jobs in the United States because of the jobs that are created around this population. In California alone, if we rescind DACA, we will lose $11 billion. And we are looking at hundreds of billions of dollars for the economy as a whole, for taxpayers, if we rescind DACA. So there are many reasons to stand with our dreamers, including the fact that we're talking about young people who were brought here, many as toddlers. This is the only home they've known. To send them back to some country that is foreign to them, where they may not even speak the language, is just wrong. Let's give them the ability to be all that we know we are as a country, which is we are a country of dreamers. We are a country of people who know that we aspire to have a country of young people who want to develop themselves and help our country produce and be the greatest country on this earth, but we will be only if we stand by our principles and our morals and the ideals of who we are. So let's pass this. Let's get it done in September, and I thank everybody for your leadership, and Senator Durbin in particular, you. Thank you. And then Joaquin, and next, Congressman Castro.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator, for your inspiring words, and thank you to all of my colleagues in the Senate and in the House who are fighting on behalf of dreamers today. Let's be clear about something. America is blessed to have these 800,000 young people in our nation. This is their home. It's the only home that many of them have ever known. And as President Obama said, they're just as American as any of us, except in one way, and that's on paper. And our challenge in Congress is to make sure that that one difference is no longer. And the dreamers that are here, I want to say a message to y'all. First, thank you for your courage. Thank you for standing up when times were tough. Thank you for fighting for your families. Know that we're going to fight like hell so that you can stay here. And the reason that we have gotten to this point, the reason there was a DACA, the reason that we came close on comprehensive immigration reform was because of the incredible youth movement 10, 12 years ago and all of the energy and passion that went into it. And I'll tell you what, there are many people in Congress who are ready to do the right thing and to pass a DREAM Act, and we're going to fight to do that. But there are also folks over the last several years who have said about DACA that they agree with it, but that it should have been done legislatively. To those folks, I say, now is your chance. And to those of you that have been marching on the streets for years, some folks here are going to lead a little more inspiration. And the most powerful movements in American history have not come from the top and have not come from people in politics, but have come from people, ordinary Americans, who have changed their country for the better. So it's going to take us being out in the streets, in our churches, in our workplaces, Americans speaking out, letting politicians know how they feel. May God bless you. Thank you.